What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, I want to give a shout out to the man, the myth, the legend, the brother Robert Mason coming through once again with a donation to the channel via the PayPal. Much respect to him for showing love to Too Raw for TV. And he had a question, and basically his question was, what if the Buffalo Braves were able to keep their team together in the 1970s? So he's talking about the team that they had at one point in time, I think around 1977, 78, where on the roster was Bob McAdoo, Moses Malone, Adrian Dantley, and Randy Smith. Were they able to keep that team together? Because that Buffalo Braves team was really good. Especially in the mid-1970s. Bob McAdoo had been a superstar. He had been, I believe, Rookie of the Year. He had been a three-time scoring champion, 1975 MVP, I believe, of the league. He looked like he was on his way to becoming one of the all-time greats. He did have a Hall of Fame caliber career, but injuries ruined what should have been one of the great primes in the history of the league. All right. 1978, one of the rare moves in the history of the league, the ownership of the Braves and the Celtics swapped. The ownership of the Celtics took over the franchise that was the Braves, and vice versa with the Braves and the Celtics. Now, the Celtics, once the ownership of the Braves, drafted a then 21-year-old Larry Bird from Indiana State. Although he did not play for the franchise until the 1979-80 season. And we all know what Boston did during the 80s, 3 NBA championships. And I believe they had 5 NBA final appearances. So the second most dominant team of that decade behind the Lakers. The Braves left, I think, after 1978, might have been after 78 or 79. They left to go to San Diego, where they became the Clippers. So that's why the San Diego name makes a lot more sense when they were in the Clippers. And then in 85, they left to go to LA, and then, they've been there ever since. Although, up until recently, they played in the same forum or the same gym that the Lakers did until they just got their own building. But I guess in this scenario, man, if you keep the team together, let's just assume that they still have the same management. They don't do the owner swap, right? I don't know how long they would have stayed in Buffalo, number one, because they were struggling financially as far as ticket sales. They were struggling with, being able to stay afloat and be financially solvent in Buffalo. So unless that gets fixed, I don't see them staying there long term. And I don't see how they'd be able to afford those guys long term. And also, even though on paper you got a lot of star power there, right? I still wonder how that team would have gelled together. Because we all know that you got 3 guys that need the ball in their hands, right? You got 3 guys on the team that need the ball in their hands. So I guess, what they really needed, if I was the coach of that team, I know we got hindsight and all that, but probably what I would have done is maybe move Dantley. But I don't know if Dantley has the trade value of that time, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, Dantley wasn't Adrian Dantley yet. So he doesn't have the trade value in 1977 or 78 that he had in 81 or 84. Moses, I think, was just on the cusp because, I mean, he had some success with the ABA, but he wasn't Moses Malone yet. So he doesn't have that trade value. But Moses, I would keep. I could build a team around Moses. And I think I would like to keep Randy Smith if I was on that team. I want to keep Randy Smith. Dantley and Bob McAdoo are a little bit more disposable. Bob McAdoo was a star, right? But if I'm seeing that Bob is going down like the way I think he is, and what he ultimately did due to injury, right? He ultimately was traded to the Knicks. I would let him go, and then I would get a surefire leader for that team, some type of surefire leader, some type of point guard. And I'm trying to think about the point guards in the league at that time, who they could have made a trade for, and maybe a Kevin Porter. I want a pass first point guard to run that offense. A guy that doesn't really need to shoot the basketball. And I think Kevin Porter is perfect for that situation. I also want to shore that defense up. Now, I can't think off the top of my head all of the, the marginal, I don't want to say marginal, but, the role players there. But I do want to do something to that roster to shore the defense up. Like I said, I would trade Bob McAdoo. And then aside Moses, I would get some sort of rim protecting center. I'll move Moses to the power forward. I will get some sort of shot blocking rim protecting center that also doesn't need to shoot the ball more. I shoot the ball a lot. And whammo, I think we got a team. Got to get a nice bench there. And that's the team with Moses Malone, Kevin Porter, Randy Smith, some type of shot blocker, rebounder, maybe I'm just throwing a name out there. I'm trying to remember whether he was in the NBA yet. What was his name? Sven Nader? Maybe somebody like that. But that's what I would do. Maybe Dantley, man, maybe Dantley coming off the bench at first, or I would try to have a mix where Dantley would have his times where he would get the ball and be that finisher, maybe in the fourth quarters. But that's going to have to be like what I'm saying, you have to figure that one out. That what desires, and that situation need a coach to figure out how to make that thing work. You know what I'm saying? Make it work in this scenario the way it didn't quite work with Detroit a decade later. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I would do, because that team has potential, but I don't think it would work with all those guys there. The games just didn't mesh all together, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, tell what you guys think.